I tēnei whakaaturanga, kua tūtaki tātou I ngā reanga e toru, o te whānau kotahi. Koe nei ngā peita a Lloyd Vaint, te tupuna kraua me te mātāmua ngā kai whakangau, kua whakaatua hi AF Hunting Aotearoa. Koe eki e ki te iwa te kau mātoru te Pakeke, ko ia hoki te kai peita ko e ke rawa o te motu.
Came to Queenstown 1924 when I was 10.
Jeepers.
Yeah.
And you're 93 years young now.
Yeah, 93. Yeah.
Now tell us about this thing here. The biggest deer in the country, is it? The biggest head?
No.
Looks more like an elephant.
Nothing like it.
Looks more like an elephant.
Well, it's the best head in New Zealand. So that's how good it is.
I konei tā huru mōwai a loi te wāhi I timata ai tana raputia me te hoko ai ona kiri hei oranga mōna. Ka mutu hoki tonu ana o na whakaaro ki te rao ngā whakangau.
Well, I left the dart hut, which was called Snowy Creek Alpine Club hut, that they had built at the very head of the bush in the Dart Valley. And I left, and as I walked up the floor of the valley, I came across about 10 deer prints. The deer all left the floor of the valley and climbed up a ridge. And I put my binoculars on this ridge and found that I could see the antlers of about 10 deer. So I climbed further up until I knew there was no way of getting above them. I had to take the chance of going from the floor of the valley up this gully which the deer had followed. They got my scent, and one by one they came forward onto this and looked down to see what the disturbance was. About the 5th or 6th deer that came forward was this big 16-pointer stag, which has been and still is the best deer head ever shot in New Zealand. When he came forward, I didn't wait for any more. I was satisfied with what I could see. So I gave him one in the chest, and he toppled and could hardly sleep all night, kept putting his torch on this big stag to see if he was real. That'll do just for that thing.
How do the hunters stand up these days in comparison to you pioneers? Are they a bit softer these days?
Oh, yes, because of helicopters, access by helicopter.
I mean, in your day, men were men, and even the women were men too.
Yes, and I would wait until I'd take 4 horses away and wait until I had a load for the 4 horses before I came home. So I wasn't too sure what time, when I left home, I couldn't tell my wife what day I'd be home. I just came home when the horses were full.
Ko te whai oranga a Lloyd I te whenua, I te whakangautia, me te hihika hoki, mai ngā awa te ao, e noho nei tēnei uri atu. A rātu anō tōna koe, ki te pupuhi raiwhara.
One of those cups is for the best shot in the Southland Regiment, and the other one was for the junior champion of Otago. So, and even the rifle, it's got a silver plate on it. That's the President's Trophy for the best score at the local Queenstown club.
I nei maunga me ngā ko awawa nei te takahanga a ngatia, te wāhi hoki I Waimaria a Loi ki a rātou na kiri. Tērā tētahi wai tino māringi no te Waimaria ki rongi aia me te mutunga mai o te miharo.
66 bullets, 66 deer.
Yes, I couldn't miss. Because they were too close. They were 60 yards away.
And then they just kept coming toward you.
Oh yes, they're just coming.
Did you have a hind tied up on heat or something?
No, it was a snowstorm behind them.
Oh, okay.
The snowstorm that was blowing up from, and they had been on the sunny side of this ridge, facing the sun, and cleaning up anything that was left. And there's quite a lot of deer because they'd eaten out everything from that way, from the bush edge down to the dart. It was absolutely eaten out. So that here they were, with a snowstorm behind them. I was in the way. I was sitting pretty right where they wanted to come down into the bush and dodge this storm. So all I had to do at 60 yards was pick off one deer at a time, which was easy. I couldn't miss.
And you skinned a lot of them?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
Because the snowstorm came in, and I skinned about half of them, and I used the skins for under my bed and over my bed, and I was as warm as toast. And the deer was just standing off at 60 yards, which you couldn't miss. So I never counted the deer skins. I counted how many cartridges I had left.
And you never missed?
I never missed a deer. No, I couldn't, not at that age.
Koe nei te pāhara keke o te whānau o Lloyd, te oroko hanga mai o ngā mahi tuku kiritia, ki ngā whenua o tā wāhi ki rānana, ka mutu I whai oranga ai tōna whānau. Nō muri mai ka noho a Lloyd hei kai whakahare tēnei o ngā whare puni I Paradise Valley, he wāhi tino rongonui mo te kaitia.
When I took over this accommodation house at Paradise, venison was on the menu. This was 1942, about the time that the returned soldiers, there were quite a lot of returned soldiers that were in the country. So anybody going to Glenorchy on the steamer would take these buses and go up to Paradise for the trip. Venison was always on the table.
Hoi anō, I nei rā, kua heke mai a Lloyd hei kai whakahaere, kua riro kē mātana tamaiti a James e te aki I te pāmu. Tai ho ake nei, ka rongo tātou I ngā mahara a James mo ana haere whakangau ki te taha o tōna pāpa. I tipu ake a James Vane ki rongi I tēnei whenua. Nā anō I awhine I tōna pāpa ki te whakatū I tētahi o ngā Pākihi whakangau tuatahi o te motu.
Probably about 1957, there was we're set up to develop the hunting industry with overseas rich American people coming over here. We had horses to take them up the valley where there were very good deer and shooting. We had Warren Page, who was the editor of Field and Stream, shooting editor of Field and Stream, a very well-known American magazine. And he came out and had a very good trip and wrote a very good article on shooting here. We also had the director of Pan American Airways from Hawaii and the New Zealand director too. They came and did shooting too, as just to promote shooting hunting in the area. But not a lot developed out of that in the long run. I guess a lot of the income off the farm those days was from skins, and of course we did a lot of that in the early days. We used to have to go way up the valley where the deer were, and the deer on the tops those days, and you could only get about 10 deer a day, so you'd sort of climb to some place and shoot about 10 deer, skin them and drag the skins down and then hang them up somewhere or bring them back down on the horses. During the war, this is the Second World War, they used deer skins, I'm told, to line petrol or fuel tanks in the aeroplanes, because if the bullet went through them, they would self-seal. They wouldn't, they'd keep the fuel. So, and I think also the hair of the red deer is very porous. It's like quite hollow stem, And I think they might have used that for life jackets and things like that too. I think what a lot of people don't understand is just how conservationally minded most farmers are. All the high country farmers in the South Island, well, most of them anyway, they want to improve their properties. It's their own properties. They want to improve them and have something better to hand on to their children and generations below them.
Heke tonu ki ngā mokopuna, e rere ana te toto whakangau a enei uri. E whakaatu nei i a rāua pūkenga ki te pupuhi koti. He kaiarahi turuhi te mahi a Gori, he Pākehi keri e kohatu tā James Buck. Mai anō te tokorua nei e whakangau haere ana i ngā pai maunga nei.
I got the first one, mate. Any good eating these, James?
Mate, they can be a bit tough. The old billies. Dogs don't mind though.
Dog tug, eh? Backsteak's no good either.
Oh, left them out on a tree for a couple of weeks, they might tender up.
Is there a bit tough, are they?
Yeah, mate.
If I remember correctly, we all left with 3 rifles.
Dude.
Gordy?
Yeah,
we
I
left the
forgot
truck.
the bullets.
Someone forgot the bullets.
Mate,
Someone
I missed out on all the action.
But never mind, there's a couple more just over the hill.
Yeah, dude. We'll be right.
It's all on you, mate. 2 gates, 2 bullets.
Yeah, I reckon we might have fired a bit more than just 2 bullets there, Howie. To tell you the truth, mate. I'm ringing in both my ears.
Oh, I might see him on stick his head out.
Get it.
All the pressure's on now.
All right. Nailed it. Yeah.
Bit of pest eradication going on. But we're not going to waste the meat. We're going to cut them all up, carry them back to the truck, into town for a bit of back steaks, and the rest go to the dogs. Tell us about today. How common is what we did today around these parts?
You know, that's reasonably common, Howie. Like goats, seems to be heaps of goats out there in the hills. Back in the day, the forestry hunters and that used to keep the numbers down, and nowadays they're just not really doing it, so it's kind of just up to us to peel them out, you know.
How have you noticed the numbers in terms of deer and other wildlife affected by the old 1080?
Well, it's all wrong, man. It's you shouldn't be out there knocking over deer with 1080. You know, I don't think it's a humane way to kill them when you can avoid it. Sometimes you've got to poison pests and that, but Doc have got deer repellent they can put on it, and mate, people got a big attachment to the deer and stuff, and I don't know what they think they're doing. They should get the hell out of the rural areas, Doc. They just do not belong here with that attitude. They do not belong here.
I think like you know, hunting's not always just about going out and shooting the animals. Sometimes it's about being able to, you know, hang out in the mountains, sometimes for a couple of weeks. And oh, for one, the gear we got these days is a lot better, and those boys used to stick it out for a long time. When we sort of started hunting, it was really on the back of when the choppers and that had been going real hard, and there wasn't that many animals around really, deer anyway, and just over the last few years, you know, like venison recovery sort of stopped and the numbers are coming back quite good, you know, like if you're a young Kiwi and girl or boy and you're getting into hunting, now it's probably quite a good time, you know. Yeah, methods, oh, you know, I think there's a lot more people out there spotlighting these days, doing it the easy way, which, oh, you know, you get a feed, but not the greatest. I don't really consider that hunting. But, oh, you know, we're still out just doing it good old-fashioned way, really, just legging it and chancing your arm, like.
What about you, James?
It's probably a lot more satisfying to go out and hunt them one-on-one and, you know, using all your senses and, you know, you're getting fit, hopefully. And, you know, everyone, you know, gets an easy deer if it's there, but, you know.
Well, I tell you, Mama, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and your tourism business just to fit the old Maori boy from Rotorua in to take us around and show us the land and tell us about the stories about the place, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I'll just have to go back to the old sideshow and work on my eye because I think I missed a few more than I got today.
Yeah.
But James, it's been awesome, mate.
Yeah, mate. You too. Yeah.
Gordy?
Cheers, mate. Thanks, man.
I was up putting the torch on this place. Make sure it's true. You know, really.
Taking too long, okay.
Like in Higging, like Muttley.
Well, the good old this one.
He mea tautoko.
Ai pāho.